Hello and welcome. I'm Knight's Angel, and we're back with our head again. As you can see, I've done a lot between episodes. I put a lot of things into place. We have a few things already glued down. We have a cat in the background. Now, this is where it gets tricky because of where we have to glue next. And if you can see all these little dots, all these little colored dots, we have everything tacked down where it needs to be. And that's where we're going to be working, is we're going to be getting the rest of these all tacked into place. So, I'm probably not going to do all of this in one go, or in one episode. I'm just going to probably cover one of these smaller bits in the back, or both of these, as quickly as we can, and cover the rest in passing. So, check our glue gun, make sure it's nice and hot. Now, I'd actually spent like a good few hours working on all of this off camera, and all it was doing was shaping the foam to where I needed it. And what I did with that was, particularly on these back two, I literally just sat there with a piece of foam and cut it to the shape I needed. And can't quite see what I'm doing at the moment, but I'm literally just going a couple of passes in one of the seams here. I mean, at this point, we really don't need to go very heavy on the glue. And I'm pretty sure it's fairly secure at the moment. But we'll be shoring all that up soon enough. So, I'm going to start off by just going between the dots. And putting in a couple of runs of glue between them. But we're not going to be taking out these we're not going to be taking pins out right away. Because we're going to let those pretty much cure, if you will. And yeah. And a little bit of advice when doing this part is I pinned all this down first. I literally just spent about 2 hours pinning this because I had to make sure each piece fit right and all that. So and to pin it is real simple. I'll go ahead and show you up here. Okay, see that gap? We're going to press it down. Take the pin, almost flat, and just push it right through. And we're going to pull them together. Putting all that tension in there, we'll pull that seam tight. See? And once you have it in place, you can take your pins out. And go back into those little crevices and add a little bit of, and add a touch of glue to them. Now I'm not too worried about having the little ridges and all, because let's face it, is your head perfectly round? You've got bumps and stuff and that, and if you do it right, you're not even going to notice them. Once you get to the fur, you're not even going to notice. But you want to make them as small as possible, is the bigger thing. I mean, you see how quick this is going. Yeah, I want to be careful at some points, especially taking the pins out, because you saw they'll peel out. So be careful with that. Now what you didn't see me do is how I got them set up. Now remember I was talking about setting it up the same way, like I was talking about my days working construction. And one of the things we would do is called jointing. And that's one of the reasons why down here I hadn't actually finished up with the jaw yet. You see how I have all this exposed right here? Well, I'm not going to be attaching the foam directly to itself. I'm actually attaching it to this and the foam, which is why which is what I'm doing up in here. As I'm going down. So and if it looks like it's pulling away from itself, if you notice it early enough, you can catch it and you just pinch it back down. If you're daring enough, you just take a pin and very carefully run it back through, making sure not to pull too hard, so that way you can keep your seam. Now the harder ones to get are gaps like in the corners at the bottom. Those just squeeze a little bit extra, wheel it around, and press it down. After a moment or two, it should set. Yep, there we go. Should set. And check. Make sure you check where you're going with this. That way it holds nice and firm. Be very mindful. Be very mindful what you're doing with your hands, because you get too close to it, you will burn yourself. See? Okay. I'm gonna put a little bit extra in there. Press and hold. And yeah. Look at that. Yeah, you can feel the little ridge, but don't worry about it. Is once you put the material on it directly, it's going to press all that down. Now, top has a little bit extra, but we're gonna let the glue itself cure first before we do anything with that, because cutting it before it finishes, it's just gonna pull itself apart. So pull that out. Just dab it. Now it's just a lot easier to wait for it to cure or dry, however you want to phrase it, before pulling the pins out. But you want to pull them out very carefully and make sure let's see, there we go. There we go. Now I'm doing this kind of slow, so certain points I'm not. You're not done yet. Okay, let's see if we can get a little bit more in there. And this is just kind of a minor guessing game. Now, okay, yeah, that's still loose. Now, certain parts are going to fit so nicely together that you don't have to tack them down. You can if you want. There. But you want to make sure. Yeah. Let me get a close up of this. Okay. If you remember in the previous episodes, are little braces all over the place. See how you can barely see it, and yet once I press it in, they're almost perfectly flush. That's kind of what you're wanting to go for. I can figure out how to. Again, don't try and do some of this like I'm doing, because I'm an idiot, and there are times I don't know what I'm doing. So if I'm not paying attention, I can actually screw this up worse. Like actually get the thing stuck to the head. There we go. Yeah, there are a few gaps around here on both of them, but we're not going to worry about that because we're going to shore that up. And that's going to be real easy. We just take a couple of pieces of foam and just line it. Real thin strips. We'll do that later on. Yeah. I need you over here. There we go. Now we just have to get in under here. Kind of work your way in. Just kind of go back and forth with it. This is one of those things you don't want to rush because of how simple it is. And it's not really something a lot of people actually think about. Yeah, it goes quickly, but it's always good to have a little bit of patience with it. Because you still need it to dry and cure and or what have you. Yeah. Now, so you want to give it a few seconds. Check other spots just to be sure. You want to go back to the previous one? Go for it. Just be mindful. And don't worry, you may take a few little bits here and there, but as long as you're not like grabbing the foam completely and pulling, you're not gonna tear it out. You're just probably gonna get little tiny bits. And there we go. Okay, so, and I'm going to go ahead and finish this side up, in the next video, because this one's going to be a little tricky, because this is a much larger piece. You have two pieces joining up in multiple places, covering a lot of surface. Not to mention we also have to deal with the ears and our vents. So we want to make sure those get taken care of properly. So, let me know what you think. Okay, that distracted me. It started wiggling. Alright, let me know what you think. Share your thoughts. If I got something wrong, let me know. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask. I'll try and answer them the best I can. And until then, I will see you. Getting ahead of myself. I will see you in the next video. And until then, I'm Knight's Angel. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you have a better day.